What's up, everybody? It's the Hard Deconstruction. You can find us at harddeconstruction.tumblr.com. Not really. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, as well as Instagram and everywhere else. Along with us is Thea from horrorharbor.tumblr.com. I'm your host, Komp, as well as...
Four-headed Bangaroo.
And...
Thea.
Today's film...
You already introduced her.
You did.
No, I just gave a preamble. And today's film is...
Overlord, 2018? Yes.
Overlord 2018! Directed by Julius Avery, written by Billy Ray.
Mm-hmm.
As well as Mark L. Smith, who did the screenplay. A small group of American soldiers find horror behind enemy lines on the eve of D-Day. Sophia, why'd you pick this film? You know, it's also, I didn't realize March is Women's Month, and this is an appropriate film for Women's Month.
Oh.
So why did you pick this film, Thea?
I picked it because I'd been hearing about it because it was did a festival route, I guess, and so I heard Nazi zombies, and I went, okay.
Yeah, that's sort of a weird subgenre that's actually been around for a while, right? I think like the first time I ever
Nazi reimaginings,
Nazi zombies. I don't know Nazi reimaginings, but Nazi zombies.
Well, there was that snow one, whatever the fuck.
Red Snow? Was it Red? Dead Snow?
Dead Snow. That was it.
Dead Snow. The original thing that I ever saw that had zombies, Nazis. I think we talked about it a long time ago when we did the Dead Snow episode. Was the one? What was it? Worst Case Scenario, whatever it was called. It was a short that happened a long time ago, and it was like a proof of concept for a movie that was never made. And it was essentially a long take of a tracking shot at a beach, sort of like at Normandy kind of thing, but it's a beach now, and you see Nazi like boots coming up on the shore, but then there are all these sort of mutated zombies walking on the beach.
Is it the Rob Zombie trailer that was in like Grindhouse or something?
No, I'm talking about this is good actually, but I think it was called Worst Case Scenario. Like
that was good.
That was from like the year 2000. That's how old that trailer. It might be even older than that. But it seems like to have kind of gotten legs because there was a recent like what the hell was it called? It was a found footage Nazi experimentation zombie movie that came out a couple of years ago that I can't think of the name of. The thing that bothered me is that besides this cough,
you fucking.
Oh my god, he's dying.
It's Hitler. He's coming to get me.
He's dying. He only comes after people like me. You would be safe.
So, because I'm circumcised. No, because, the movie is, like, found footage, but it's supposed to take place, what,
He's choking. He's dying still. Mock his death. Mock his pain, everyone.
There's a zombie choking to death right now.
So, that movie bothered me because it was found footage from, 1947?
Right.
Years ago?
Doesn't really make sense.
Yes, that would have to be a giant film camera, but it looks like it's shot with a digital camera, and it just bothered me, and I can't think of the name of it. But either way, Overlord came out. It's produced by J.J. Abrams, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
This was actually originally supposedly supposed to be part of the universe. What are those films that they do?
Cloverfield. They supposed it was. They thought maybe it was Cloverfield.
Okay, I've never seen any of those.
Just because J.J. Abrams.
Those are all linked somehow.
They are. I haven't seen any either, actually.
This film is actually probably better than all the Cloverfield movies. I saw all three Cloverfield films, and they're okay. The second one, the first one being good for spectacle.
The one with John Goodman, was that good?
That was okay. Yeah, it was good. The third one was like, because it dropped on Netflix.
Was that when Roseanne died and he was just the Connors?
That's right.
Yes, and I guess that would be a prequel.
And then he started kidnapping people into his basement,
So,
oh, wow.
Thea, give us the small rundown of what this film is about.
Give us the rundown.
The rundown. It's the night before D-Day, and there's a bunch of soldiers dropping in, and there's these guys, and they're like, we gotta blow up a tower, because it's a radio tower. And then a bunch of them die, and a bunch of them make it, and then there's zombies.
Yeah, we hadn't seen this type of film in a long time, I think, this sort of genre, just a pure genre film that's not trying to be wink at the audience or try to be
but that's also a period film.
Right,
they're not really zombies. I mean, I guess they are.
It's not it's not super zombie and it's not super horror, but it's more war film than anything, which is kind of cool.
It gets a little Resident Evil.
Danny, you should have started that sentence with actually But yeah, Overlord is
Mansplain it to me, Danny.
yes, mansplaining.
I am. I will.
Not emphasis on the man though. So
Hey.
Overlord is this sort of genre film. I would throw it's more of a throwback to sort of late '90s, early 2000s action horror films that came out. Sort of the one that immediately comes to mind is what the hell is that? Deep Rising. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. That I saw it in the theaters. It's such a good movie. We're gonna
Yeah, I don't think I saw it. You mentioned it recently.
Yeah, we got to do
I don't
that
think I've
movie.
seen
It's really good. It's just these
I don't
people
think I've
that
seen that.
That's not the shark one?
No, Deep Rising is this film that came out long time ago, and it's about these sort of jewel thieves that break into like a giant yacht.
I don't condone theft.
A giant ship that's like full of rich people, and they're going in to take these jewels. But apparently, that boat went into the deepest recesses of the ocean, or it passed by the deepest recesses of the ocean. They're getting attacked by these creatures, and it's just very good. And this is what Overlord reminded me of. That sort of who gives a shit? Let's just have fun, sort of old school genre film. And
Yeah.
I like it when they combine it with sort of a standard type of film. Like that sounds like it's almost combined with a heist movie, whereas this one is combined with a war movie.
Yeah, right. And the thing,
I mean, it's a really good war movie in and of itself.
Yeah.
I mean, I was loving watching all these Germans get killed. It was
And
great.
I don't usually love war movies, but it was actually quite cool.
I don't either, but I always appreciate a good Nazi killing reimagining. Like Inglourious Bastards, I got such a boner, and this too.
The really good thing about this film is that the really good thing about this film is that it's a genre piece, and it's also a period piece, and I love period horror films.
And this is Women's Month, so that makes sense.
Periods.
Wink.
I get it. Do you guys have any other period horror films that come out of that come?
There's a scene in The Shining with the elevator, and he's looking at the hallway, and all this blood starts pouring out of the elevator.
Classic.
This
Classic
is just,
periods.
This is just going exactly the way I thought it would go. So, Thea, let's get into the meat of the film. Who are the characters?
We've got Boyce, who is sort of our lead protagonist that we're following throughout the whole film.
Giovanna Depo, who's playing him?
That's right. And he plays sort of like a sort of I would say mousy. Like he's it's indicated that he does not kill people really before this movie. We've got
Gotta kill people.
Oh, that's right, mostly, right.
We've got Ford, who sort of takes on the leadership after the head of the squad gets killed.
It's played by Wyatt Russell. It was so funny because my friend, after I saw the film, I was talking to him, and he's like, wow, man, they should really do a sequel to The Thing with Wyatt Russell, you know, right? And I was like, what the fuck does that got to do with anything? Then I realized he's Kurt Russell's son.
Yeah.
I was like,
I've never really heard of him before.
I
What is
also
he?
I recognized him from an episode of Black Mirror called Playtest.
Okay.
Where
I've never seen Black Mirror.
It's
it's
he's
great.
playing through like a horror game basically, which is interesting.
Playthrough. I thought that was the new one that came out. Was that the interactive one or?
I'm not sure.
What, Ready Player?
You're thinking of the movie.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yeah, they did a film too.
Also,
And then we've got
the other-
Chloe.
Mathilde Olivier.
Yo, this lady is so fucking hot.
See, every time we watch a movie with a lady that is hot in it, I'm like, okay, is it Alex or Danny that's going to be into her this time?
No, I thought she
Every
was.
What do you mean? I mean, she's really hot.
She said
Like, you have
Always
to
one
admit
of
it.
you points it
It's true.
first.
But you see, I'm not a pig this episode. Danny. Was
I'm
a
not
pig.
saying it in a
That'd be
piggish
ridiculous.
way.
Not a
I'm
piggish
saying
thing. Because Danny, see, I said she was a great actor. You said she was hot.
I said both.
I'm offended.
They are not mutually exclusive.
Offended.
Who else
That's
do we
true.
got there on this?
We've got Waffner.
Pilu Azbek.
That's right.
Who
He
is
plays sort of
Euron Greyjoy?
our big bad, our villain.
Right.
Oh, is he?
He's
Oh,
really
okay, yeah,
such
that's right. He has a
he's
weird
Euron
face.
Greyjoy. He's such a hateable person.
is he?
He is very hateable.
He's in Game of
Thrones.
Thrones. He's one of the
Oh,
Greyjoys.
right, he was the sea
He's
guy.
the evil uncle.
He's like the uncle. Yeah.
He's a water uncle.
Creepy uncle.
He's a real asshole,
Who else do we have?
basically.
Exactly. We've got Tibbet, who's like the Jersey guy. He's from
Yeah.
Jersey, isn't he?
I don't know if you thought about it, but as soon as I saw his character, because he's basically the typical Brooklyn. Hey, yo, these guys over here.
Yeah.
He reminded me of the character from We're Alive. You know they always seem to put like a Jersey army guy to relate with the lunkhead sort of character that turns out to have a card.
That
pull.
turns lovable.
Who else is there?
He is very lovely.
And
I want to grab his
got
tibbets.
Just the next three characters.
We've got Chase, the photographer guy.
Right.
And we've got Dawson, who wants to write a book, but that doesn't last very long.
Oh, yes.
He does not write the book.
First,
He
first
does
black,
not.
I would say a first black character that gets killed in the film. Who else?
That's
There's
right.
One more character.
Rosenfeld,
Rosenfeld.
Who's
Dominic Applewhite.
who I called Tube Friend.
Yes. So the interesting.
Oh, he's the one that gets the tube on him.
That's
Okay.
right.
So the interesting about this film is that it's got really good production value to it.
It does, yeah.
Do you guys know what the budget on this movie is? I would assume. It's probably
I'm gonna
30
guess
million or
like at
something.
least like 10 million or something.
10 million. I mean, because that opening sequence. Because the
Budget
how much.
$45 million.
Wow, hey, that's a good budget. I hope it made it back. I'm not sure. I think it made it back, right? It was number 3 for a while.
Oh wait, no,
Well-
I'm looking at the wrong one.
You know what?
Nice job, Thea.
I know. I had Deep
You've
Rising
ruined it.
open still.
I was about to say a phrase, and now I can't take it.
But anyway, so the movie definitely is
38 million.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so if a movie like this could be made for 38 million, there's zero excuse for all these horrible movies with high budgets.
There you go.
The thing about this film is that it's definitely cribbing off of other horror films and other genre films, like obviously war films. It has but that's the thing that doesn't matter, that it's not so like, you're not worried that it's ripping off other films, because obviously the opening of this film is clearly a nod to the opening of Saving Private Ryan. You know how
Any movie that shows D-Day is basically it's a similar kind of
they're all ripping
opening.
off some older film from the 1950s. but
They're all ripping off the actual day.
That is true.
they're appropriating it. But this film has a
How dare them.
fantastic opening sequence where they're inside of this plane that's about to make a drop of them, and you just hear all these wars, really good special effects, just really great. And obviously it made me think about Saving Private Ryan when they were all on that boat. You know, those boats in the beginning of the film, and they just go right into the open fire over there. And just that, and it was so great. It had an actor whose name is like my favorite name of all time, is Bokeem Woodbine, and I don't know why.
Wow.
I love that
That
guy's
was a
name.
nice
I
name.
like that.
Bokeem Woodbine is an African American actor that you have seen in absolutely everything, but you don't know where from. But he's been in every movie since, and he does not age.
He was in Spider-Man.
Yes,
He was
he was Shocker in the latest Spider-Man. The fart. What was that one called?
Did you say fart?
Yeah. That's what I thought too.
Spider-Man fart coming.
He was also in Fart. Oh, I was gonna say Fargo. That's why. He was in the series Spider-Man Fart Coming. That's when Spider-Man goes to Mexico and eats beans the whole film.
Oh, he's from Crooklyn.
Yeah, but if you really want to see him great, he's in the second season of Fargo. He's really fantastic in that.
Fargo.
So
He is actually, yes.
So essentially, the general five guys make it down to the jungle. This is the jungle. No, it's like the French woods or something like that. And the two black guys eat it real quick in the film. Bokeem Woodbine gets killed after the other black guy gets killed. Either way, that one guy was trying to write a novel about it, autobiography about that stuff, whatever. They're just
And
sort of
as he's recounting how he's going to write a great American novel, he steps on a landmine.
Of course,
It's very dark.
He had a really explosive story. The
Oh,
funny thing about that is, not the joke, but the funny thing about
Definitely
this is
not the
that
joke.
Yeah, definitely.
a lot of people that were before this movie had come out, obviously, you know, the nationalist people that are like, they're ready to shit on any movie that doesn't have like a white male lead in it. They were already like, a black guy saving the day in World War II. They're making the Nazis look evil again. We know who's behind it. And it's just like, oh, for fuck's sake, it's a movie about zombies.
Their favorite thing to say, they love talking about how Nazis were left-wing because it's got the word socialist in it.
Oh, God.
It's like, yo, you guys have actual neo-Nazis at your rallies, and the left doesn't, so why don't you fuck yourself?
But Danny, there's very fine people on both sides. So,
That's true.
Oh, God.
So the whole gist of the film is that it's not as sort of expansive a story as in locations. It's first half of the film, they're sort of stuck in this. It's sort of broken down in three giant set pieces. They're in that giant plane. That's probably about for the first 10 minutes of the film. Then they end up in this French. They're in France because they find out that they have to take out this tower. That the Nazis have been sending information because I guess there's a lot of spies, obviously, in Germany or wherever else. that are
Cops
trading
are onto
information
us.
with the people in France. They run into this French lass who lives with her brother and an infected aunt in this house.
They should have called this movie "Infected Aunt."
Right? That'd be a great movie.
That would have been a good name.
I love it.
Mathilde Olivier is a very pretty young lady with great acting skills. And of course, once again,
The great acting skills are precedent over everything else. I want to make that clear.
I gotta point something out that Thea does with every fucking movie that she's picked so far.
I know.
That happens in the movie, and I
I
couldn't
know.
believe it. It's like I can't believe that it still happens.
Although I did find a website that I can look up the movie before we watch it,
What
and
the
it'll
hell, really?
and it'll
Is there
tell
a
me
website
whether
that
there
warns
is
that?
sexual assault in it.
Are you serious?
That
Is
really?
Is
Yes.
it called like Trigger Watch or something? What is it?
It's I can't remember what it's called.
can't
right now,
remember?
I mean, I
but
guess that's kind of good for people
no,
that
it's
don't want to
actually
see.
it's really great.
No, that's
because-
good.
Yeah.
That's sort of like
So what?
those-
Do you use it for the opposite purpose? Do you like look for the ones that
That's
have
right.
it?
Yeah, I seek it out. I
like
seek it out.
a number
Because it
I'm
seems like this
got it in
a
it.
number
flawless
5 out of 5
thing.
assault one. Jesus
Oh
Christ.
boy.
But
She's
yeah.
like, oh, which one has it? Perfect. Let's choose this one.
So,
No, but when that scene came up, I looked it up immediately and was like, okay, she doesn't it doesn't happen on screen. Nothing
yeah,
happens.
it's
on
about to
screen.
happen. It was so funny because that's not funny, but I was saying I was watching a version of this that was like a Chinese streaming version, I guess.
Oh boy.
And they
Uh-huh.
completely cut that scene out for some reason.
Oh.
Although I've seen some of the most.
mean,
Yeah, they just cut it out. You just see the guy like come up to her, and it cuts to him already getting knocked in the head with a gun. And I was like, "What the fuck did they think was happening in China? Like the black guy teleported through the floor."
They really love their censorship there.
I know Hong Kong is
It's
the movie that
magic.
has all the rapes, not China for some reason.
Oh, boy.
So anyway, she is being the guys find a way into her house. They stay upstairs and in the attic while the Germans are basically having their way with everybody. By the way, like when the Germans ended up finding
They're
the
such
Russians,
assholes.
the Russians are real creepoids. But that's good because the Russians were being creepoids to the Germans. Because I guess the Russians didn't want to get fucked with. But that's a whole other story. Like war is completely horrible. That's news, huh, everybody? And
Yeah,
if you
look
ever-
at that.
if you ever
War, what
find
is it
out-
good for?
If you look
Absolutely
up what
nothing.
If you look up what the
boy.
Russians did to the Germans, it's like holy shit. That's it. But the Germans, the evil Germans that were there, not the nice. I guess they were nice. Were there nice Germans back then? I don't know.
I don't
Not
know.
really.
I
man.
assume. Either way, everybody was fucked back then. So the second half of this film is them in that house and they're trying to evade the Nazi capture, and we're introduced to Boyce finding out something weird that's going on in town. Why? What is it, Daddy, that he finds out?
There is some kind of they're kidnapping people and they're doing things to them underneath the tower. They're injecting them with things. They're doing things to them.
And they shoot him and then they fry him right there. And
It's scary.
it's led by not led by Waffner himself, but he's obviously a high-ranking Nazi that's there. And Waffner, it was very funny because I didn't really like recognize him. I was like, now that you tell me he's like the Game of Thrones.
No, he's definitely like I knew him at first, but I couldn't place it because he looks more crazy in Game of Thrones. But like he's got such like a weird face, like it's
He
very
does have a
distinct.
weird face.
He sort of looks
Yeah.
like the actor.
Weird in a
from-
good way though. It's like interesting.
He reminds me of the actor from fuck my dog.
Okay.
Dark City. He looks like the lead actor of Dark City. Whatever. Go watch that movie. That movie's great. That was the
Okay.
Matrix before the
It's
Matrix.
been a long time.
And they are obviously Boyce sees this and he finds a way to get it. And he starts seeing all this weird science. The movie's half science fiction, and it's not a zombie film like you said. It's more of an experimentation, sort of like how 28 Days Later is. People argue if that's a zombie film or not. I say it's a zombie film. A lot of people who are totally digging.
Well,
it.
they're alive though. They're not dead.
Oh, okay, very good. So
So they're not zombies.
okay, sure. So the third half of this film are the guys trying to break into the Nazi stronghold and destroy the tower, the radio.
The radio
towers.
tower.
And Thea, give us some info of what what basically did they do a good job about tying these three sort of story elements together, and was it interesting to you?
I think so. I think there was sort of a lull when they get sort of stuck in the house for a long time in the middle. But they sort of solve that with like Boyce sneaking out to figure out the route in and out of the church. But also, the interiors of the church didn't feel fully explored to me, which I'm guessing is probably because they only had certain parts. They only had certain rooms and things to shoot that would look the way that they wanted it to look.
Okay.
But I feel like they could have gone a little more in depth in terms of like, we saw some of what was going on in some of the rooms, but not really. And also I feel like I completely missed how they make the stuff.
Yeah, I don't think they showed that at all.
They got it from the tar.
I know, but I had to
that's
read
right.
that later.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't really. It's vague, you know.
Yeah.
There's only really like
fine.
6 noticeable places that are used in this film that are like inside that area. It's so funny because Danny and I saw this horrible movie called Death House. And at least in that,
I don't even remember what it was about. So that's I know we watched it recently, but I can't even recall it.
You and Heather got to see
I've already repressed it.
What is it called? Death House?
It's called Death House. You really got to see that
Wonderful.
film.
What is it about? I've already repressed the memory of
The movie
it.
with Jason as the main bad guy.
Oh, that was terrible.
It's supposed to be a
I actually thought of it at one point. You know the scene when they skydive
Yes.
and they're falling through the air and they're bulleting and shit? I'm talking in this movie.
Oh, okay.
This was like a way, way, way better version of what they were going for in Death House.
They had a lot of rooms in that film, and that movie was made for like about $5. So with this film, I was sort of disappointed in some ways, but not. Like, overall, I enjoyed the film, but I figured, like, I don't know what I thought when I saw the trailer. I had pictured something completely. I thought in the film that, like, one of his guys in his company, like Boyce's company, was going to turn evil and, go after him for some reason. Like, he went crazy because of the juice that they used. But it ended up just sort of being normal, and Wyatt's character ended up being sort of a decent guy. And I really don't understand Boyce. Like, Boyce must be really a nice guy because he was like, hey, man, don't be that Nazi. I was like, what? Like, the guy was trying to rape the woman that you like.
Well, he just doesn't like seeing violence.
Oh, boy.
I don't
Couldn't even
understand
kill a
that.
mouse, they said. He's a nice guy. But then he ends up bashing someone's head and smashing it over and over.
Yeah, so I think that's supposed to be a character arc for Boyce's character, but I didn't really give a shit about that.
I mean, I guess technically back then, the Jim Crow laws and shit would have still been in effect. Like, there weren't that many black soldiers.
No, I'm sure there were a lot. No, there were black soldiers. Like, there's actually...
No, there were, but not,
evidence.
like, a lot.
There's
Like, and they weren't respected and stuff.
I was on a thread about this film, and I saw these, obviously those Nazis were like, going, no, this is the new black leader. And then there was like there's like this photo, a great photo.
I think there was like a few 100,000 black soldiers in World War II.
There's this great photo of this black GI, and he just has a gun trained on these Nazis that are like on their knees. It's like really funny. So they put that up, and then everybody was like shutting up. But yeah.
No, I'm not saying they're not. Like, there were them, but like, in our society, they weren't accepted.
He was whitewashing history. He was just like, no, they didn't really serve any.
Just business as usual.
Rosa
here.
Parks was actually a white woman. You heard her? Martin Luther King was a white dude. Danny, who was fucked up thoughts.
Rewriting history again.
I'm sorry. I can't help the way I am.
What are the negatives of this film for you guys?
Well, it was a little too feel-goody.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, like as far as the, everything kind of had a happy ending. Oh, they saved the kid. Oh, we're going to play baseball now.
I like the rap song at the end that came out of nowhere just because, I assure you it was because the lead was a black guy. Like, they just put some fucking rap song at the end. I was like, where did this come from? It was like...
It was jarring, but I thought, it was just because, like, everything felt a little too, like, it worked out too happily and perfectly.
Well, it's a genre film, because usually that's what I think you're used to seeing war movies where everything is, like, bleak at the end anyway, right?
Were you a little bit waiting for that twist at the end where it's like, oh, but they found one vial?
Yeah, I figured.
Like, I thought that was
waiting for
that
too, for sure.
Like, exactly. Like, everything worked out too smoothly.
I think the idea is that this could have all happened and we wouldn't know. Like,
I was really surprised to see the Jewish character survive this, like, World War II movie. Because I swear, every World War II movie, like, they make a point to have a very prominent Jewish character if he's a GI, or obviously if they're in the concentration camps, and they kill them to kind of drive home the point that, they were fucking massacred. Like, Jewish people were
Well, what about the bear Jew guy?
remember, he blew up at the end of that movie, too?
Oh, did he?
What the fuck movie did you see? Of course he blew up at the end
Dude,
of that.
it's been 4 years. It's been 4 years since I've seen
Did
it.
he climb out the roof of the theater when it blew up? Yeah, holy mackerel. But obviously the worst one, sort of Jewish character getting killed is like if anybody's seen Saving Private Ryan. Did you guys watch Saving Private Ryan?
My favorite is in Schindler's List.
Oh, good lord! Why do you want me to edit this episode? Danny's Jewish.
I'm Jewish. I'm Jewish,
Just
everyone.
so I don't have to edit that because I hate editing shit that he
You don't have
says.
to edit anything.
Okay. Oy vey. So
I can talk about my people however I want.
So I mean, I think like myself, I think that I was expecting more sort of a body count. I was expecting more zombies to be, attacking and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the final zombie looks sort of shitty. Like I didn't like the look
Do you
of
know
that
what he
one
looked like?
berserker zombie that runs around.
I like
Oh
him.
wait, that guy? Yeah.
I
He
didn't-
fun.
kind of looked too. I don't know if you ever
Too-Faced?
played Left 4 Dead, but it kind of like reminded me of a character from like Left 4 Dead 2.
No,
I just like the way he
Just a little
moved.
too
I liked
lumpy.
his feet.
I'm an adult. I don't play video games.
All right.
So actually I can't afford
but
video games.
also the big bad when he went funky, he
Yeah,
looked
he's a little-
he looked like the guy. He looked like the villain from Men in Black.
Oh, he did actually. You're right. He looked like
the
Vince,
roach guy?
Vince
yeah,
D'Onofrio
the bug
from
wearing
the
a
first
man
one.
suit. Yeah.
Yeah, that berserker zombie that runs around and the girl figures out she can fry him to death. He sort of looked like something like an unfinished look for Face Off or something. Like he just looked like they gave him. I don't buy.
He made
that
me
shit.
think of the Tar Man, actually,
I
from...
do. No, come on, Tarman's the best.
No, the way he
Tarman's
moved.
Oh,
The way
okay.
he moved. Like,
Tarman's-
not Tar Man. The first guy that comes out. Like, and he comes out immediately running and he's bald and shit. Like,
That guy,
and then
yeah,
they-
right? He looks like shit. Also, my question about Face Off. There's no fucking way those people make those makeup without like 7 other people helping them make those makeup effects. That's bullshit. I don't buy that. For
No, they
1
do.
second. Yeah, okay, Danny. Come on, it's like
they do!
one person that does all that makeup. They're
He
gonna
doesn't
process.
buy it, Danny.
I don't. I
They
think
seriously do.
I think it's malarkey. How about that? Well, how do you handle that?
Whoa.
Yeah, come
Strong.
on.
He called it, he's going to malarkey now.
What'd you guys think
This
of
is
Ford?
getting serious.
Do you guys like Ford at all?
Which one is that?
He's Wyatt Russell. He's the white guy of the group.
I thought you said White Russell.
What, the guy that
I don't
gets
get it. What's
killed
the-
and then comes
don't
back
know.
as a zombie?
Yes, that he gets his own superpower. He
Yeah, I liked
guess-
him,
I
but he
guess
was a
this
little
also-
too nice.
This also cribs off of 30 Days of Night, right? I never saw that film, but I think one of the main characters becomes a vampire themselves to fight the main vampire. Sort of one of those things. It would have been nice to see Ford survive with Boyce, but I guess he sort of became a sacrificial character because he was such like... I don't know, I guess it was a real weird liberal sort of look to have his character beat the shit out of the guy and he sort of looks like an asshole for it. I'm like, no, he's like a fucking Nazi. Like, I think they wanted the audience to think, oh, he's a little too extreme in like tying up this guy and torturing him. But I'm like,
Right.
I think it's all sort of off the table if you're dealing with like maniacs and shit, right?
They should have cut off his wiener, done an ode to Game of Thrones.
But yeah, I like this character. Chloe's good. I mean, they gave her a fine sort of storyline, but all these characters are basically archetypes. What did you think of Chloe?
I found her capability to be uneven. Like, sometimes she was completely helpless, and other times she was like, oh, I can wield a flamethrower, that's fine.
Where did you think she was not capable when she was running away from the berserker guy or something?
Yeah, and just... Yeah, there were just a few moments like when she's like running from people, or when she like can't figure out how to use a gun sometimes, or like anything.
I think it was bolstered because of the army guys. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because obviously she was forced into the sexual relationship with Waffner
Right.
all this whole time, and then all of a sudden she has a couple of guys behind her back that she can sort of feel like she has her back, taken care of.
Yeah, I would have liked her to have a little
Her
bit more
back was
authority.
taken care of.
See, I didn't go there with that, but Danny did.
No, I was saying they took care of her back,
They had
and
that-
her front, and her head, and her
Oh
feet.
boy.
They had that sensuous little boy running around too. He was a good actor.
Ugh.
I never would
Should
say
not
that.
say that word.
I would
That's
never
awful.
say that. See, I would never go that far. Alex took it there.
Oh boy, I realized that joke made me look bad.
Well,
They had the obviously the Jersey guy was good. I was surprised he survived at the end. I was waiting for him to get killed. I was like, oh boy.
Is
You know
it
what'd be
bad that
cool?
is
You
it
know
bad
what'd be
that
a cool twist? If at the
What?
very end, they're hanging out on the porch, and then the little kid pulls off his face, and he's that bad guy, and he kills the guy.
Or he's just like secretly got that super strength.
So
Or he's a Nazi.
Thea,
Yeah.
you wanted Dawson to die? I mean, you wanted the Jersey guy to die, Tibbet?
Oh no, Tibbet's fine. I a little bit I didn't feel myself invested in the child that much.
Why is that?
Like just like when they went back in to like blow up
guys
the
are both
building and
sick.
they're like, but also we must find the child, and I'm just like,
Oh, you
okay,
didn't give a shit?
let's just back burner that because we really gotta like get rid of this place.
How the fuck did Rosenfeld survive with that big fucking thing in his guts? Like,
I have
that's like-
no idea.
So they really wanted that guy to survive, but
That's why I thought he was gonna be like infected somehow.
Well, maybe it
Yeah, I
didn't
thought so,
hit.
too.
Maybe it didn't hit a vital organ. Maybe it was like in between the vital organs.
Okay,
Yeah.
they did kill off the photographer and Boyce because he's a moron. Put the injection into the guy because I guess he saw earlier that the guy came
Got brought back.
from death, right?
Yeah.
So he did that, and then he basically killed his teammate twice.
That scene was pretty cool where he was like
I did
his
think so, too.
bones are breaking and his head went all the way back and forth.
Yeah, I was real.
Yeah, but how
obviously
come that
guy was
didn't
still good.
happen to other people?
It
Like,
was confusing. Well, and then also why did it take so long for Buddy's hole in his face to heal? That was confusing.
I don't know. I liked the film overall, but obviously
Mm-hmm.
it needed a little bit more. I think but I mean, for the budget that it was, I think it did pretty well. Like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
do too. I wish there was a little more horror, like 10% more horror, 10% less feel good.
I think that's the problem with period horror films. Well, I can't say because I guess people thought The Witch was a very effective
I fucking love that
period.
movie.
I thought that movie was
great.
okay. But
But that's a
obviously-
different kind of movie
It's
altogether.
also
That's like an
different kind
art
of
house
horror.
movie.
As this, like when it's a war film, you're expecting a war film to have like 60% war and then horror stuff. You're sort of like it's hard to, I guess, focus on the horror when there's shit blowing up everywhere else. Like explosions don't necessarily are tied
Well, they
to
could have
the horror
cut short the house scenes and added more zombie shit.
I think that's probably where the budget was coming in, where they only had certain type of things to deal with. Like the special effects, obviously, were the bulk of the fucking budget for this film. But I like the way that the characters, the directing is really solid. I think it was like super solid sort of genre, old school horror film. But you're right, it wasn't that much of a horror film. It was more of a war film that had a science fiction horror edge to it. So I don't know if that's like a genre in its own way. But I don't know. Did you guys have any final ideas about this film or ways it could have been better?
The final countdown.
I mean, I was pretty okay with it, honestly. I was okay with the balance. I don't mind that it wasn't full tilt horror. I think they get away with that kind of because war movies are so gory and sort of over the top that way that you get that, even if it's not strictly horror. What do you think, Danny?
I love it.
I love it. That POV
Well
Nazi horror film is called Frankenstein's Army. So if
Sure.
you guys want
Okay.
to check that out,
Frankenstein had an army? The monster or the
Frankenstein's
doctor?
Army. That's the name of the movie. Frankenstein. So yeah, I think I have this. We all kind of came to the same conclusion that it could use some work, but for what it is, it's a pretty
I'm happy
entertaining
with it.
film with what it is. Because Danny hates Nazis.
Definitely entertaining.
I do hate Nazis.
Thea hates children.
And Danny.
And you find them sensual.
I find kids sensual. But in their lust for life, that's nothing else.
Exactly. No, I understand.
Don't say lust either.
Am I just saying things unconsciously? Subconsciously? I don't know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
It's Freudian slips here.
That's
So,
right.
with that, Danny, what rating would you give this film?
I'm
Oh,
gonna give this.
wait. Ladies first. Thea, what rating would you give this film?
Wow, that is so misogynistic that
So
he
cruel.
assumes that you
Hey, honey,
need
why
a
don't we get with
preference.
this answer already? Let's go.
I'm gonna give it a 7.8. The bug-wearing man suit from Men in Black, but this time he's actually a Nazi zombie out of 10.
I'd give this a 7 out of 10. I did like that woman's head on the table that was talking. The French lady. You know what I mean?
That was nice.
It had to be ripped off. There's this Japanese metal group They did a song called Saku, Saku. I believe that's a song. I'm not sure.
Baby metal or something.
They're called no. Come on, that's a good band too. Though. Dear and Grey, Diren Grey, Grey. They did a video that had the exact same thing of a woman's head, like alive, writhing around on a table. But that like really it was jarring and good. And I wish there was more shit like that in this movie because that was like a horror scene. Like that was fucked up. And that poor lady is like, just like a head inside of a...
She's like, help me.
She's probably just on that table and go, oh, I can learn to live as a head on it. And then she just blew the fuck up. So 7 out of 10, finding a woman's head on a table and just, instead of helping her, running away. Danny?
Okay, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Bringing your friend back to life and then smashing his head into the ground until there's nothing left.
With that, Thea, what's the final word?
Tape measure.
Danny, what's the final word?
Nazis.